We are changing now to a new unit in science that has to do with matter and states of matter. So the first thing we need to do is just establish what matter is. Today you will need to be jotting down some vocabulary words, and I'll point those out to you as we go through this. This sheet is also available to you linked up in today's Google Classroom if you want to go in and have it for yourself. So you'll notice the title here is Matter is the Stuff Around You. There is an image here, and you'll notice these are little pull out sections that have zoomed in on a part of this larger picture. So this little circle here is zooming in on the clouds. This little circle here is zooming in on the waves. And this circle here, oops, I got it mixed up, didn't I? This circle is zooming in on the mountains. This circle is zooming in on the waves. Those are examples of the three different states of matter. In general, what you need to notice next is that there are some words that are standing out on this. Now, none of these are linked up online. You can see some of them would be if I had you doing this online. But I just want you to look at this as a reading assignment, okay? Getting familiar with these terms. And for your science folder, you are going to need to copy the definition of matter. Now, you'll notice right here, matter is in bold, but later, the rest of this sentence just says matter is everything around you. It doesn't necessarily define matter yet, so that'll get to a better definition in a little bit. It then switches to talk about atoms. This one, it tells you what this means in its own sentence. Atoms and all compounds are made up of, here we go, atoms are just very small parts of matter. So atoms go on to build the things you see and touch every day. Since atoms are matter, and they are the building blocks of larger pieces of matter that we can actually see, atoms are an example of matter. Now, do you see anything in this last sentence that lets you know this is what you are going to write down on your card? Matter is defined as anything that has mass and takes up space. It has volume. Well, a good hint there that this is what you want to write down is it is defining the word matter. That's what we're after today. We want to be able to say what matter is. But you'll notice then that matter has two words in it that are not necessarily easy to understand: mass and volume. We talked a bit about volume in math when we found volume, so you should have a good picture in your head about what volume is. But the next sections are going to explain mass and volume more. What you need to do on one note card is write matter on the white side. On the lines of the note card, then, you need to write this definition, matter. And you don't have to say that it is defined as, because we're writing it down as a definition, so you know. Matter, anything that has mass and takes up space, meaning it has volume. So this whole section you need to write down on a note card for matter. Now the next paragraph, what seems to be the main idea here? Well, talking about what mass is, helping you to understand what mass is. So mass is, there's your definition, the amount of matter in an object. So again, you need to write this on a note card. Now you'll notice we didn't write any examples of matter. That's because we will be working with examples of matter tomorrow. So that will be a better time to write off examples. Here, though, you might need to find a bit more information to get an example of what mass is. An example of mass. So mass, the word, gets written on the white side of the note card. Your definition on the back is everything that's highlighted here. Your examples on the notebook paper underneath it, well, let's see what we can find. If mass is the amount of matter in an object, you might have a small object with a lot of mass, such as a statue made of lead, and the abbreviation of lead is PB. You might have a large object with very little mass, such as a balloon filled with helium, which is abbreviated HE. Now, it does tell you there is a difference between mass and weight. Mass is a measure of the matter in an object, while weight is a measure of gravity's pull on an object. Now, I admit, it says you should also know there's a difference. Yeah, you should know there's a difference, but there are many adults who have a hard time explaining the difference between mass and weight. All right, so mass has to do with how tightly packed something is. You might have a feather that is extremely light. You could have the same sized feather made out of lead or gold, and when you tried to pick that up, it would feel extremely massive. There's more mass in it. There's more of the molecules of gold in that gold feather than there are molecules in the feather that comes off of the bird. So mass is different from what would show up on a scale when you picked it up. Mass is how tightly it is packed together, how much matter was put in that object. So for your example, you could put lots of mass in a statue made of lead. Or you could put the example, little mass in a balloon filled with helium. It might be good to put both of those, and also in parentheses, not weight. So that has talked you through what should go under the note card about mass and the definition that should go on the note card about mass. Why are we talking about mass? Well, just to remind you, in order to be considered matter, it has to have mass and it has to have volume. So it makes sense then that the next paragraph is going to talk to us about volume. So we've read paragraph 1, paragraph 2 about mass. Paragraph 3 is now going to explain volume. Volume is, that's usually where you find the definition. Volume is the amount of space something occupies. So remember, volume is measured in cubes. And if you are measuring the volume, you are measuring how many cubes it takes to fill it up. So cubic centimeters or cubic inches are what measure volume. So on your note card, volume gets written on the white side. On the lined side, you write volume is the amount of space something occupies. And then I would like you also to write your example of centimeters. How do you write the cubed? Centimeters cubed is how it's measured. So this needs to get included on the note card. Volume is the amount of space something occupies. It's measured in centimeters cubed or cubic centimeters. The word cubes would also be helpful. C-U-B. See if I can get it without writing over top of any of the rest of the writing, huh? C-U-B-E-S. So measured in cubic centimeters, and the word cubes needs to go along with your definition of volume. All right, so what else does this want to tell us about volume? Words such as big, little, long, or short are used to describe volumes. They're used to describe volumes. What is the word used to measure a volume? That would be cubes or cubic. A marble takes up a small volume, while a star occupies a large volume. Different states of matter will fill volumes in different ways. That's an important idea for later on. Right now, make sure that you have your definition of volume, as well as cm with the flying 3, the exponent of a 3, and the word cubes, because that is how volume is measured. Your example, well, I would probably write something like marble equals small volume, star equals large volume. It would be great if you also wrote length times width times height. It would only have to look like length times width times, that's not a very good time sign, is it? There we go. Height. Length times width times height. That's how you find volume. All right, so if we look up at the top, the introduction was telling us about matter itself. Tiny pieces of matter are called atoms. We don't need that. We did need the definition of matter, anything that has mass and takes up space, meaning it has volume. We then had to get a definition of mass, which was the main idea of paragraph 2, what mass is and some examples of it. Paragraph 3, the main idea was what volume is and how we can understand volume. The last paragraph starts out in another direction. Even though matter can be found all over the universe, you will only find it in a few forms called states on Earth. No, that doesn't mean you only find matter in Michigan and not Florida. States, the fact that it's in parentheses here means it's telling you more about what they meant when they used the word forms. We cover 5 states of matter, although we're going to focus mostly on 3 of them, but it's fun to know about the other 2. Each of these states is sometimes called a phase. All right, so we can call it forms of matter, states of matter, and phases of matter. There are many other states of matter that exist in extreme environments, so not normally. Scientists will probably discover more states of matter as we continue to explore the universe. So don't forget, your assignment is to be sure that you have the note cards for volume, mass, and matter today. Thank you.